from school, I rush home, I get some bathing shampoo, I wash this rabbit, hold it up by the ears, blow dry this thing, clean it up, come back, slip over there in the cage, put it in the cage, close the door, go back home. I know it was bad, but the dog had been going to the bathroom in the yard, and there was a lot of stress. That's a long story. So I figured this would just be the best way to handle it. It's a medical family. I figured things die. It's a good, children need to learn things die. I don't know. I justified it in my mind some way. I'm not doing the ethics seminar today, okay? It's another seminar. Just come to that one. Whatever. Not perfect. And so I slip over there, put the white rabbit in the cage, close. I don't hear anything for a couple of days. I'm out mowing the grass. I'm like, I see my neighbor. Hey, Mark. How's Emmy? How's Robin? How's McLean? How's Thumper? Interesting thing, Gary. You know, Thumper died, and we buried him, and a day later he was back in the cage. Like his long, awkward moment of silence. I said, I tell you the Easter rabbit, maybe it had risen or something like that. When I was in graduate school, I had an auditorium about this size, and I had a professor. I had a student come late to an exam. It's like 8 o'clock. The exam starts. 9:15, he shows up, and I say, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm in your class." I'm like, "The exam started at 8, and you don't have time to finish." And he goes, "I'll have time." I'm like, "I don't think so." And he goes, "I'll have time." So whatever, come sit. So he saunters up there, knocking his book bag around and stuff, and when I say stop, put your pencils down, at whatever time it was, 9:30, he still sits up there and takes the test, and everybody else is coming down, and they're all, you had a great class, everything. You know, it takes a while to get everybody out the door. He's sitting there taking that test the whole time. And so when everybody leaves and goes out, he finally slowly gets up, and I'm sitting there with a table in front of me. I'm getting all the papers stacked up, and I've got a tall stack of the test, and he walks down and gets in front of me at Ole Miss. I did my graduate work. And he says, he hands me the test, and I said, "No," I said, "I told you to stop, put your pencil down, and that included you. And you know, that's what I told you at the door. That included you." And he goes, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "No, I don't know who you are." He goes, "You have no idea who I am?" And I said, "Buddy, I have absolutely no idea who you are." And so he took up that big stack and put his paper in the middle and slammed it down and went, "Good." So I walked down, and I'm like, "Hey, you know, I went to my major professor. He goes, "That's the perspective. That guy didn't pass." I sent flowers at the restaurant in Huntsville, opened up on the square where my office was. And I sent flowers, or, you know, I got the typical peace lily when they ask you to come and open this restaurant. They have a demo day, and they invite some people. And so they invited me there. And I went around for the little invite and looked for my flowers. I couldn't see any. And I see over in the corner, there's like a whole spray of white roses on this, like, funeral thing. And I go over there, and it says, you know, may you rest in peace. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's what I sent." So I go outside and I call the florist, and I'm like, "Glenn, yeah, it's Gary. Okay, my thing is here, yes, but it's like a funeral thing. It says, may he rest in peace." He goes, "Oh my gosh." I'm like, "Yeah, what are we going to do about this?" He goes, "I'm not worried about your flowers." He goes, "I'm worried about the guy we sent something to that says, 'Good luck in your new location.'" And I'm like, that is a bigger problem. So perspective will help you with these things. You know? When she was young, I was going outside, and she was real young, and she was going like this, and I was packing to go, and she was fighting me with her finger like this. And we were having like little finger fights, and we'd go like this, and I'd go like this, and she would hold it up and shut and go like this, and I'd go like that. So when on one of the times she got really close to me like this, put it in my face, and like, started biting her like that. And I ran back out, came back in, and she was sort of crying and looking at her finger. And I go, "Sarah Davy, did I bite you?" And she goes, "No. Where's my booger?" Neil Neil Armstrong tells a true story. It's about how humor. It feels good to laugh. You got to put more of this in your life. Neil Armstrong, when he went to the moon, he got off the Landau module and said, "Good, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." When he got back on, I think it was called the Landau module, he said, "Good luck, Mr. Gorski." He tells us it's an absolutely true story. And he did say, "Good luck, Mr. Gorski." And there was a rival Soviet cosmonaut for years. I think some of you nod your heads because you've heard this story before. There was a rival Soviet cosmonaut that they thought maybe that was what it was directed to. And so for years, the news and the media used to ask him, "What did you mean by good luck, Mr. Gorski?" And he would never say. And then in 1995 in Sarasota, Florida, somebody asked, "Will you ever tell us?" And he says, "I will tell you today what I meant by good luck, Mr. Gorski." And so they all got quiet. And he says, "When I was a little boy growing up, I remember my best friend hit the baseball up under my next door neighbor, Mr. and Mrs. Gorski's bedroom window." And he goes, "I remember it so clearly as a little boy running up there to pick up that ball that I heard Mrs. Gorski yelling at Mr. Gorski, 'You want sex? You'll get sex when the little boy next door walks on the moon.'" And he said, "I remember it all this time." And he said, "You know what? Good luck, Mr. Gorski." The little boy next door just walks on the moon. He tells an absolute true story. If you ever get to Huntsville, Alabama, you get to see that tin can they were flying in, you would understand that it had to be a very, very stressful moment. And he's finding humor to put in his life. So we need to put that kind of humor in your life so that we can have that kind of stuff and do it. So make each moment count. Find the balance between work and home life. You need that kind of thing. Your health, your professional life, your financial life, your personal life. You know, the first 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes when you come home, 5 minutes before you go to bed will be the most influential 15 minutes in your personal life that will determine how that's going to be. Your strongest people have all those pillars in line. And if religion's important, you'll have that in line also. But all those little things add up to make a difference and a compound effect. That's in business or life. People look for one big decision. It's all little tiny things that add up to be if you're happy or if you're enjoying life or what you are. So remember that compound effect. Look to be making a lot more positive decisions, a lot more positive attitudes, making a difference in that life because it has a way to take you to where you're going to be. You've gotten here today because of compound decisions. Whether they be good or bad, you've gotten to where you are based on simple little decisions that have done that. So you add that in your personal life, in your professional life, in every part of your life, it'll have a very positive, hopefully, if you do these things, compounding effect. Two things that successful people have is they have a positive attitude, they believe they'll control their own destiny. I want you to count your blessings, not your problems. And the next time a person's asking you, "How you doing?" say, "Better than I deserve." So how are you doing? You say, "Better than I deserve." All right, lastly, I'll tell you one more story. When I was in graduate school, close your ears, Saturday. I had a house sitter. I was coming back to Huntsville to do my dissertation, and I had a house there, and my dog stayed there, and everybody. I didn't want my mother to know that I had this house sitter who was a female that was basically I was going and shacking up with every time I go over to Ole Miss to finish my doctorate degree. And so I just said I had a house sitter. And then one day she was coming through, and she stopped to eat dinner, and the house sitter, who's now my wife, the house sitter, you know, like Miss Mississippi, like house sitter, you know, my mother, she wanted to impress my mother, so she made a roast and gravy and mashed potatoes and carrot, you know, the whole spread. And so during the meal, I had mostly junk, but I had one silver gravy ladle that we had got at Boaz. It used to be a big outlet place. They had an Oneida silver store. We got a bunch of wedding gifts. And I told them, "Remember we got a bunch of wedding gifts? You gave each one of us boys one." Oh, yes. She goes, "I've been missing mine," or whatever. I thought that may be it. So my mother leaves, and the next morning, Stacy's cleaning up, and she says, "We're missing the gravy ladle." And I'm like, "What are you saying?" She goes, "Your mother asked about it, and I've looked everywhere, and I can't find the gravy ladle." I'm like, she goes, "Just ask her if she took the gravy ladle." All right. So I emailed her, "Dear Mom, I'm not saying you did take the gravy ladle. I'm not saying you didn't, but the fact remains, since you've been gone, we've been missing the gravy ladle." "Dear Gary, I'm not saying you are sleeping with Stacy. I'm not saying you're not. The fact remains, if she was sleeping in her own bed, she would have found the gravy ladle." Moms are smart. Be smart. Put some positive attitude in there. Lead like a lizard. Be like the lizard. Blend with this environment. You got a lot of organizational change going on right now. Take some of this humor, put it in your daily life, and be positive. Y'all have a great day. Good company.